Yes, people, welcome to Man Knows Football. You're here with myself, Guni, and with Matisse. It's been a minute since Matisse has been on the channel, so welcome back, Matisse. Thank you for joining us again. How you doing, my brother?
Pleasure. Just confused, bro. Really, just want this to come to an end. Do you know what I mean? Just so much going on, so much little links and rumors and different names coming up on shortlists, and I'm just tired of it. To be honest, the quicker it gets done, quicker we can start to understand what the manager is, who they want to keep, who they want to sell, and we can just get down to business. That's what I want.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get it out of the way early. I'm going to put a little poll up. So, who would you prefer as manager? We're just going to get straight into it with the people. Nagelsmann, Pochettino.
I think they're definitely going to go for Nagelsmann. Every time I see Pochettino on a poll, he loses.
This is the first time. Let's see what they're saying on this channel. One person's voted Pochettino. One's done. Okay.
It's going to be a landslide for Nagelsmann.
Absolute landslide for Nagelsmann, you reckon?
Yeah, I think minimum 75%.
Damn. But Matisse, we've actually. It's been a while since we've spoken. A lot has happened. Graham Potter got sacked, which is what most of us wanted. But the massive curveball was Frank Lampard coming in as interim manager. Boy, let me start with that question for you. If you had known, or had an inkling that Frank was going to come back to take the helm until the end of the season, would you have taken it or would you have stayed with Frank Lampard? Oh, sorry, with Graham Potter.
It's tough because Potter's the better manager, and I have no doubts Potter will be getting us playing better football. But I do believe the outcome would have been similar. I think we would have lost to Real Madrid anyway. Yeah. I think the league form was horrendous with Graham Potter, so I don't see how it would have been getting any better with the fixtures coming up. His records don't change. So the only thing Lampard was really meant to bring in was some vibes, you know? He's meant to bring attacking football, some goals, hopefully, maybe. And then we may concede a load as well and just have entertaining football matches. But he hasn't brought that. So I don't know, bro. Like, they're both at this point just as bad as each other. Do you know what I mean? I don't look back on Graham Potter's time with any sort of revisionism or any sort of, like, the guy was speaking like a person who was already defeated half the time. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't really think it matters, to be honest. I think either way, I would have preferred I obviously would have preferred somebody competent coming in, somebody of a high level, but that's not what happened. But he needed to leave, and Lampard, well, no one really wanted to see him back, really, in terms of managerial credentials. It was just pure vibes, as I said in my videos.
No, I hear you. I had to ask the question because I asked Eunice as well yesterday, so I thought it's only fair that I ask you. But
what did he say?
Eunice said he probably would have stayed with Graham Potter, and I'm of the same opinion. I have 0 ratings for Frank as a manager, and I say that respectfully, bro. I can only go by what he's shown us so far, and since he left the club, it's just been catastrophic, to be honest with you. Well, even towards the tail end of his tenureship at Chelsea, it wasn't looking too good, bruv, in the last stint. So, yeah, man, I never really rated the brother. But so we move on to long-term managerial candidates. Names like Enrique, Mourinho, and all these guys were flowing around, but they were quickly dismissed. Obviously, Chelsea no longer interested in Enrique. That is, for me, I've come out and said it several times, even when he was a perceived candidate, that this brother was not really at the top of my list. In fact, none of these managers that were being touted would be top of my list. So for me, the choices are slightly underwhelming. And I say that because I would prefer an Ancelotti or someone like that. I like Hansi.
Unrealistic, sadly.
Yeah,
though, isn't
I
it?
know it's unrealistic. That's the only problem. We're not going to get him away from Real Madrid. So, it is what it is. But now it's down to Julian Nagelsmann and Mauricio Pochettino. And as of today, apparently, Vincent Kompany, bro. Vincent Kompany is a name that is being considered, but that's something that we'll talk about towards the end. We'll give that a last 5 minutes because I think that's all that deserves, to be honest with you. Realistically, realistically, I don't see it happening. But
neither do I. I'm just surprised that it even came up on the list. Like, I get that he's doing a great job at Burnley and that he's got them promoted and that he's playing some great football. But let's be real now. That is a jump too much for anyone to come from the Championship. I mean, that's Lampard 2.0, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, in terms of going from Derby to Chelsea, obviously now Lampard and Kompany play completely different football.
Yeah.
And it's no surprise that these managers that are even spending, a couple of minutes with Pep are taking something from him, it seems. But nah, there's no way I'm trying to see that massive jump up for him. That's insane.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you. But let's look at the more realistic options who have more experience at the highest level. Probably, haven't won as much as some of your solidified elite managers have won, but nonetheless, both of them have massive potential, and I both think they are both really good. Well, I think they're both really good managers. But between the two, out of Nagelsmann and Pochettino, who would be your choice?
I've said from the beginning, I've always had a slight preference towards Pochettino, just because I feel like I also feel like he's very disrespected. But I actually do feel like if you're going off who's probably got the more well-rounded package for this job, I think it's actually him. But because of that Tottenham link and because of who he's represented in the past and the fact that Chelsea fans don't like Poch and they don't like Tottenham and they see him as a bottler and they see him as weak-minded. And I think these are all lazy arguments, personally. I think they're all arguments that are made in a banter environment when you're up against him at Tottenham. But if you had to extract him from Tottenham and actually look at him as a manager properly, I think they're all lazy arguments. I really do. I think he's a very, very good manager. What he did at Tottenham, it was clear as day on that string shoe budget, playing at Wembley, developing players, which is why he's on this list in the first place, to develop Harry Kane, to develop Dele Alli, to develop Luke Shaw, to develop all of these Southampton players.
Sadio,
all of these guys. Yeah, Van Dijk, all of these guys, Alderweireld, all of these guys. For him to develop that long list of players in the Premier League, and then we are, funnily enough, in a similar scenario where we're trying to have a lot of young players that need developing. And when I mention Poch, people immediately assume I want a dynasty under Poch. I would take 2.5 years under Poch and then let him develop those 21, 22-year-olds into hopefully world-class talents, pick up some cups, get ourselves up the league again. And then if he can't finish off the job in, season 3 and he's not looking like he can win a league or win a Champions League and we've got the players at a top level because he's developed them, then sack him and go and get the finishing touch. When people mention, oh, look what he did to Messi, look what he did to... We don't have Messi. If we had Galacticos, I wouldn't want Poch because that's a completely different squad profile. That's a ready-made finished article. You don't give Poch, that type of team. You don't give him a bunch of Galacticos. His remit is developing young players, which is exactly what we have. And when you look at the points tally that he accumulated at Tottenham over the 2 seasons, when you look at the Champions League final, when you look at what he did at Southampton, and then he obviously did win the league at PSG. Yes, he lost the league against Lille, but that seems to be everybody's argument. Out of Poch's long 10+ year career in club football, people only have 1 season from February to the end of the season where he lost the league title to Lille. That's all people have. They have nothing else. You go to every other part of his career at club football, all you can say is that he's either achieved what he was meant to, because PSG have never won a Champions League, or he's overachieved. And then people will say Tottenham, Conte and Mourinho didn't win at Tottenham. They're not serial bottlers. So I think it's a lot of lazy arguments I see in relation to Poch because people don't like him. And my only point is that he deserves respect. He deserves to be on the list. And I don't think there's much to separate him and Nagelsmann when you look at what they've done on the ladder. Hoffenheim, Southampton, Leipzig, Tottenham, Bayern Munich, PSG. They've both gone up the same way. Only one's done it in the Prem and the other one is obviously going to have to prove that. But I don't have any problem with Nagelsmann. I just don't believe that Nagelsmann is like here and Poch is like here, which is what the fan base would have you believe. That's
Yeah,
what
I
I'll have you
mean,
believe.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, as I said yesterday, that regardless of what the fans' outview is, I still think Pochettino is a very good manager. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that he's not. Do you know what I mean? Big up dedication for the super chat. It's kind of separate, but I'm going to assume this was your message. It says, Matisse, sign Guni for all you can eat Chelsea this transfer window, please. Appreciate this super chat. I think we spoke about this before, innit? It's the time that you do it.
It's the time zone. We record at 11, sometimes 10 a.m. and what time is that in New York?
5 hours behind, like 6 a.m., 5 a.m.
I keep telling them this, but they think that I can get all these time zones in one place. I got New York, I got England, I got Australia, I got India, bruv. It's not possible.
Yeah, you got a lot going
sometimes
on,
when
man.
we do the night shows, one time we did a night show that banged me, you, and Eunice. We had a night show.
Yeah.
But I saw someone in the chat was saying that we're not a stepping stone club. We have not won a league title since 2017. We have not competed for a league title since 2017.
1 second, Matisse, before you answer that, because that probably would have been a carry on to the question that I was going to ask you. And my question was going to be exactly that. So Chimera's put up on here, Chelsea isn't a development club. We're trophy winners, for goodness sake. Poch will ruin this team. Now, what would you say to the fans that have the perception of this, an elite manager coming in and just trying to win straight away? I mean, that's been the culture at Chelsea for the past, 2 decades now. And I can see a lot of fans are stuck in their ways and they're not sort of fully understanding the situation that we're in, because a lot of it comes to perspective. Do you know what I mean? But let me just get your thoughts on that.
I have no problem with winning now. I want to win, but it's not realistic because I know what preseason we're going to have, and it's going to be a shambles. The preseason is going to be a shambles, right? There's going to be about 50 players in the vicinity of the club at one time. Now, Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart can do their damn hardest to try and sell players, but we all know that it's going to take time to sell these players on high wages, with little demand, with not much money in Europe to buy these players, and they're going to try these swap deals that don't ever work in this sport and very rarely work. So we all know that it's going to take time to get rid of those players. That's going to affect the preseason, and that's potentially going to mess up the start of next season, whether you like it or not, regardless of who the manager is. Now, people will talk about, they want to win now. That's all cool. But look at the Premier League landscape. We have not competed for the Premier League since 2017 with all of that win now attitude.
Yep.
It's not me that is disagreeing with you. It's the reality of the situation. We have not competed. Forget about winning it. We have not even been in a title race since 2017. It's been 6 years since we've been in a title race, and people think we're going to be back in there next year. How? What evidence do you have to support that we're going to be back in the title race next year because we get some certain manager? What evidence do you have to support it? The two teams at the top of the league right now is either a generational coach in Pep and an Arsenal team that have taken 3-4 years to build what they've done. And then the same with exactly. So it's not me that don't want to win now. I want to win tomorrow. But at the end of the day, the Premier League don't look like that right now. And bear in mind, the squad don't look like that right now. If we had a bunch of world-class littered players in our 11, if we had 11 Kantés, 11 Thiago Silvas, if we had 11 world-class players, I'd be telling you, fuck Poch. Go and get me a manager that's going to win right now because the team's ready to win right now. You're trying to tell me that Mudryk and Madueke are ready to win right now?
Good point.
Who's going to tell me that? Who's going to tell me that Mudryk is ready to win Premier League right now and doesn't need coaching and doesn't need development? So people can look at it and say, oh, I don't like development, coach. Okay, but we are buying young players and they need development.
This is the reality of the situation, yeah.
I didn't tell us to buy all these young players. That's what they're doing. So we have to get with the program. If they're buying young players, those said young players are going to need developing. Last time we bought a load of young players under Mourinho and we didn't develop all of them, and we sold De Bruyne and we sold Salah and we didn't develop them because we wanted to win now. Cool, we won our Prem, but it probably set us back how many years? Look at all the years of dominance we could have had with that team if we had actually developed them. So people don't like to hear it, but unfortunately, that's the situation we're in.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Look, we all do want to win, and as my good friend Lee Gunner says, that is the aim of elite sport. Do you know what I mean? But we have to look at where we are. We have to actually look at where we are as a squad, as a club altogether. And I think we can unanimously agree that we are far from being run efficiently at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? And we've got to take those things into consideration. Now, I'm not asking that we finish 10th again next season. I'm not asking that we don't even give top 4 a go.
Should be in the top 4.
Yeah, this
should
is
be
what
in
I'm
top
saying.
4, bro.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. But to push for a title challenge after all that's happened this season, and also as well, we've got no guarantees of what's going to happen in the summer. We know the targets, and we like a few of the targets here and there, but getting them through the door is a different thing. Because remember, a lot of situations have changed now. Yeah, on top of the mess that we're in. Yeah, on top of the disillusioned situation of the players, there's also a big fact that we're not in the Champions League and other teams around us are. So we're not guaranteed some of the targets that we're going because that we're looking at. So there's also that. So that might scupper plans in the summer. I hate to say these things, but this is where we are. This is years, and this is not just started from this regime. This is started from the previous one. This is years of neglecting key areas in the squad and not improving year after year when we're winning these trophies. Hence why, like you said, for the past several years, since 2017, we haven't challenged for a title. And that's not acceptable for Chelsea Football Club. It's not. And we've got to find a long-term solution to address that. But go on, Matisse.
I think there's, I said it on my channel, there's a lot of parallels between the two managers, and then there's some differences in approach and style and how they want to play the game. If we get Nagelsmann, I'm gonna be okay with that, because I think Nagelsmann's a very, very talented coach. I don't think you do what he's done at his age at the 3 clubs he's been at. Again, his trajectory is upwards. I've got some concerns. I've got concerns with Poch. I have concerns with Nagelsmann. I just have a slight preference to Poch because I know him better. I have concerns with both of them. I think Poch, his relationship with the fan base, that's already going to put him on a back foot. That's not healthy.
Yep.
You know, I would look at the fans and ask for them to be a little bit more mature and just to be at least open to him as a manager if he comes through the door. Don't just start booing him in the first game at Stamford Bridge. I don't think that helps anybody. If he sets up the team right, if he plays good football, if he wins his first game, get behind the manager, give him a chance. And then with Nagelsmann, I have seen some beatdowns, you know, the Man Uniteds and the Liverpools with Leipzig and the high lines and not really adapting to certain situations and circumstances. Or, you know, Villarreal last year, that was a disappointment for Bayern Munich. So he's not perfect either. I think regardless of who we get, I think for me, what surrounds them is most important. I think all of these managers that we've been linked with, whether it's Enrique, Nagelsmann, Poch, they're all talented. They've all got flaws. They've all got pros, cons. But if you put the right thing around them in terms of the environment, in terms of the amount of players you give them, don't over bloat the squad, don't over interfere, actually listen to what they want to implement and implement it, get the recruitment right. I think all of them could do well. But if you don't get that right, all of them can flop. So there's no manager that I'm looking at here that I'm thinking, yeah, this is definitely gonna work. This is the next Pep Guardiola. Nah. We're not dealing with that level of manager. None of these managers that we're talking about are elite level. None of them are the
exactly.
That's the thing. So people can get really angry and aggravated that I've gone with a slight preference to Poch, but the other option, nobody's elite. So all of these are, you know, they definitely deserve a chance at this level. They definitely have earned their stripes to be in this level of job, but none of them are giving you like 100%. You're definitely going to succeed. They're not Ancelotti's or Pep. So
yeah,
we're not shooting in the dark completely, but we're
somewhat going into the unknown 100%.
Yeah,
there's an element of risk with both of them. Do you know what I mean? But thank you for the super chat, Felix. Felix says, I agree they are going all in for Julian. My worry is Real Madrid and PSG job becoming available, and both Enrique and Julian are gone, and we're stuck because we've waited. Now, what I've heard on the Real Madrid situation is apparently even if Carlo doesn't win the Champions League, and obviously we know he's not going to win La Liga, they're still willing to keep him on for another season because they've got a lot of respect for the manager. Because let's have it right, the man came into Real Madrid first season, he took 5 trophies home with him. Yeah, that's not a dickhead that does that. You can't just get rid of somebody like that off one season. Do you know what I mean? So I can see him staying at Real Madrid. If in the case where he doesn't stay at Real Madrid, there's massive rumours that he's got plans with the Brazilian national team that he's keen to take. So he's not a realistic option for Chelsea at the minute. I think that dream's gone. But in terms of the Real Madrid and PSG comment, or PSG rather, because they'd be looking for a manager, that's the one that I would be worried for in terms of Julian Nagelsmann as direct competition who could actually pip him away from us. You know what I mean? But can you see that happening, Matisse, or do you think perhaps the relationship with him and Christopher Vivell might be the one, not deal breaker, the opposite of a deal breaker? Do you know what I mean? Deal sweetener, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. I think Nagelsmann will get it. I would be shocked if somebody else got it. I think right now we're hearing other names come up, whether it be Poch, whether it be Kompany, Enrique, and these are just kind of all backup plans, and feelers just to do due diligence and make sure you see all your options out, because you need to explore your options. You can't just go Nagelsmann and just forget everybody else, right? Especially they're going to be very cautious about making the right decision after how many F-ups they've had.
Yeah.
But I do think it will be Nagelsmann, and I do think that having the director and the manager on the same song sheet is a good thing. You see it with Arteta and Edu, you see it with Pep and Tiki, you see it with Klopp and Edwards, you see it across the board for most of the well-run clubs right now. You want your guys to be aligned. You would like that, and we have been saying, listen to the footballing people. Don't disregard their opinion and almost think you know better when you're new to the sport. So I couldn't ever be angry with them, then therefore listening to the footballing people and going with Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann's a very talented coach.
Yeah, he is.
He's a very talented coach. Like what he's done, and the thing is with him, he definitely wants to win right now, of course, as well. But the thing is with him is that I just think the bust potential is there because of not necessarily him as a coach, but because of what we are as a club and how impatient we are historically, and how much of a mess we're in right now. And that goes for everyone, Poch, everyone. These managers, they're not built to, and we've seen it with Nagelsmann kind of falling out with the Bayern board. They're not really built to deal with our chaos. No one is, because then no one ever lasts here. We need to settle down as a club. We need stability. If any of these guys are going to work out, we actually need to calm the hell down. We need to calm down in the transfer market. We need to calm down with the staff going in and out. The fans need to calm down. Everybody needs to calm down. Like, seriously, because otherwise these people won't last, man. If people think that we're going to do a Conte season next year, and if we don't win the league or we don't compete for the league, then sack him because, we did it back then. Mm-hmm. You're out of touch. For me, you're out of touch because there's no content. There's no similarities apart from the fact that we don't play European football. That's the only similarity. That squad that we won it with in that season and this squad that we're going to be going into next season, they're two completely different things.
Prem winners, they done it already.
Exactly, they'd already done it, and we only added a couple little Kantes and Alonso's just to sweeten up the squad.
Well, Kante's not 7 extra lungs on the pitch if we're being fair,
exactly.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? We added a couple nice things on top, and we'd won it the season prior to finishing 10th. This is not that situation. This is not that situation at all.
Apples and
completely
oranges.
Different.
Yeah, apples and oranges completely. Julius says, and this is the thing, I don't think anybody disagrees with this at all, but it's just, you have to speak in a realm of realism and what's actually available to you. But Julius says, Ancelotti would make us title contenders next season if we trimmed the squad and fill key positions. Boy, even with that, I don't know. I don't know if you would. I think you'd get us top 4, definitely. But to challenge for a title is asking for a lot with what's just happened this season. That this list of candidates is a red flag. Well, again, Julius, it's the pool that's been available to the club. Like, unfortunately, Pep's not available. Ancelotti's not available. These guys are just not available. Those kind of first choice managers that you'd bite their hand off for, they're not. So this is where we find ourselves in a situation. But what I will say is, and I don't know if you'd agree, is that the candidates that are left, to me, have the right profile in terms of what's needed for this team, what we've just spoken about. So it's that for me is encouraging. Between the two, I won't lie. I like Poch, but I'm a bit of a risk taker. I'd go for Nagelsmann. I do like Nagelsmann. I like the job that he done at Hoffenheim when he stepped up into the first team. 15th, they was almost about to be relegated. He kept them up. Following season, he gets them into the top 4. Season after that, he goes to RB Leipzig, finishes 3rd with them, gets to a Champions League semi-final with them. He was knocked out by PSG's Thomas Tuchel. Do you know what I mean? Thomas Tuchel's PSG, who went on to the final. And then obviously went on to Bayern Munich. He won the Bundesliga. I believe he won a Super Cup there as well, or at Leipzig, one of the two. I I get mixed up. But you know, for a 35-year-old to achieve those things, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Now, my only apprehension, and apparently the Chelsea fans, the Chelsea board, they feel the same way, is several things. So Matt Law in his article, he says Nagelsmann's track record at RB Leipzig and Bayern Munich is admired at Chelsea, and it is understood that talks with the German also went well. The fact he is aged 35 years old and has never worked in the Premier League does, however, represent a potential risk. Let's start off with his age, because we do know we've got one prominent member in our team who is older than him, and that is Thiago Silva. Now, do you see his age being a massive factor in this, or do you or not?
I think it's funny because we've seen young managers perform, right? Someone was saying this to me before about Pep and when he started at Barca, and Mourinho when he's at Chelsea. It does tend to be early 40s. 35 is really record breaking.
Yeah.
It's you know, it is record breaking. So it is something to be aware of. I don't think it's something that would put me off him, but it is something that I would be wary of in terms of if he was to get off to a bad start. I know that's a cheap shot. It's a very cheap shot with the media, and I haven't watched many Nagelsmann press conferences, and I don't know how he deals with the media. I know how he plays. I know his kind of, I've seen a lot of his interviews in terms of how he wants to key positions he thinks we need, you know, he wants on the football pitch in terms of DM and striker, which I was very encouraging. He seems to have a great rapport with fans and a great rapport with players, and winning mentality and all these things. His winning percentages speak volumes. I know all of that, but I don't know how he deals with media. And a lot of the time in this country, media is actually the downfall of a lot of managers.
Yeah.
It's a very underspoken about part of the job, but you need to be able to handle it. And I have no question that if he gets off to a tough start or he's going through some form, you know, you heard the whole Richard Keys, you know, skateboard thing, and, you know, and hipster thing, and then it will be the age thing. And, you know, that's the only thing I would have a concern about. He's already kind of managed enough clubs at his age to kind of hope that any egos that would have an issue with his age in our squad, I have a good feeling that they'll be gone anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like anybody who's gonna maybe cause a problem in the squad because of, oh, they might undermine him because of his age, and they don't, I think they'll be sold anyway. I really do. I think he'll have a pretty young average age to work with. I'm not worried about Thiago Silva and Azpilicueta. Well, I want Azpilicueta sold anyway. Yeah. But I'm not worried about Thiago Silva taking the piss. You know what I mean?
He's a model professional, isn't it?
Exactly. So anybody that I would think could potentially take the piss a little bit, I think they'll be sold. But it's the media. I just think the media will latch onto that if he's struggling. But outside that, it shouldn't really be too much of an issue. Shouldn't be.
Well, the lack of Premier League experience as well, that's something that Pochettino does have. We've seen him operate, and like you said, when you put it into context, he done very well with Tottenham Hotspurs, you know what I mean? So Nagelsmann doesn't have that, and apparently that's a worry. But somebody in the chat did make a good point. King Kai, actually. Felix, I'll come back to the super chat in a second, but King Kai made a good comment here. Fam, all the top managers in the Prem, Klopp and Pep never managed in the Premier League before coming. What are they on? Just get an elite manager. Don't care if they managed in the Prem before. Now, in the terms of like Jurgen Klopp, right? I don't need to go into Pep Guardiola. We all know what he did. We seen one of the best ever football teams under this man, so we don't even need to bring him into this conversation. But with Jurgen Klopp, we forget that this guy, he won the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund, didn't he? And he got to, he done well with the Champions League final. He identified.
He won it twice, I think.
Yeah,
he won twice. Yeah, I think he won twice.
He. What, the Bundesliga? Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I don't think he didn't win the Champions League, but players, the crop of players that he had to work with there as well, you could see that he was able to develop, and he was able to develop young players as well. Do you know what I mean? Your Lewandowskis and your Gundowans and all of these guys, Marco Reus's and that. They had pedigree behind them before they came to Chelsea. What these guys were doing on the pitch transcended any league. You could just see like the level of ability was next level with those guys. So I think they're very much an exception to the rule. But we have seen others come in and not do so well. But what do you think about that comment of, you know, that potential Bundesliga tax because he's not managed outside of that league?
It's interesting because obviously the style he's bringing is gegenpress and it's high line and it's very centralized and you know, pressing from the front. But you know, he's one of them. From what I've seen studies wise and from the games, he seems like he wants to control the middle of the pitch. He doesn't seem like a person who's too focused on the wide areas too much. Even his wingers seem to tuck in and get into those goal scoring positions. And he has used Koeman, he's used Sane. And I think when it comes to Mudryk and Madueke, they'll need to be coached accordingly. But I have no issue with that because I think they're all moldable. Like they're not, they are touchline wingers, but who knows? They could become goal scoring wingers. We just don't know. But in terms of that, yeah, I guess it is a chink in his armor that he hasn't managed outside the league already. But I agree with the comment. We've seen a lot of managers who have never managed in this league come here and do very well. Sometimes even change the landscape. Conte come here, went to a back three, shocked the whole league. Everybody's like, whoa.
Doing the back three thing, yeah.
sometimes it's better that they haven't been here because they might be able to bring something fresh and force this league to kind of react and respond instead of the other way around. So I don't think it's something that we should be over milking. It's definitely something to bear in mind, but it's not something that will put me off of him. What will put me off of him, to be honest, is the fact that he does change system a lot, yeah. And he does tweak a lot. Now we have a whole week in between games to prepare and to do tactics, so that helps because if we didn't have that, I'd be a little bit more worried about him. But more importantly, I just after coming from Potter, I've got a bit of PTSD on tweaking. You know what I mean? Like I would like to see just one set clear plan from week to week that I can be like, okay, this is what we're trying to do.
Facts.
But yeah, maybe he just knows a lot of systems and he's got that repertoire, and then he'll pick based upon what he has, and then he'll stick with it, which is what I hope.
Facts. Felix says, sorry, I have no faith in a wait and see approach. Well, it's that's not what it is. We're in a development approach in terms of a squad and the club at the minute. So it looks like we say this not because we feel good saying it. It's where we are. There's no two ways about it. Like we said, we are not ready for somebody to come in and win a Premier League right now. It's just, for me, it's massively unrealistic. Julius says, the fact that Kompany is on the list ahead of Enrique is why I have no faith in the ownership's vision and intention about us being an elite winning club. Well, I'll let you answer that one, Matisse.
I was a little bit surprised to see Enrique not make it further. I mean, this feels like an episode of The Apprentice. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. Todd Bowie and Egbali are sitting on the other side of the table. Managers are being circled and rumored in to sit on one side of the table and go through a process and whatnot. Like I said, I just want it to come to an end. But when it comes to Kompany, there's just absolutely no way he can be the next. Like genuinely, if he's the next option, they're playing with their own status, because the fans will. If that doesn't work out, you are in serious shit now, because you've literally just the three managers you've appointed. None of them have experience at the top level. None of them. That's insane. Like they just cannot afford to even think of taking that risk. They can admire as much as they like. This word admire drops every single day. They admire this guy. They admire that guy. You can admire Kompany from afar and admire what he did in the championship, but don't even for a second even dare think that he can walk from Burnley to Chelsea into this job with this pressure and in this situation. You'd be a fool to hand him the keys, because I'm not saying he's not talented. He is talented. It looks like as if he's had a great first season, but if he does not deliver, you guys are so fucked. Yeah. It's mad. Yeah. Honestly, you're fucked.
You've only got one option with that appointment, and that is to succeed and do it quickly, basically. Because, boy,
Fab.
Wow, Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted something, and it is massive.
This is why I had to wait.
Julian Nagelsmann has now withdrawn from the race to become the new Chelsea head coach. It looks like it's his final decision. The German coach is said to no longer be available after multiple rounds of talks. Nagelsmann was the top candidate for the job.
Oh,
That
my
is
fucking
insane.
God. Oh,
That
my
is
days.
insane. So this looks to me that it's going one way, my friend. It looks to me that the Poch inners might get their Pochettino. Wow. Wowee.
Whoa.
What a time to break that news. I'm happy I got that.
I just literally said to you that I was like, there's no way it won't be him. Like, I'm
Brother,
so sure.
I said,
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
He's been fucked around. Do you know what it is? Yeah, but this whole interview process, I said it last week. I said we need to be careful that we don't scare these man all off, because they'll want to feel like they are the future. They'll want to feel like they are the guys that everybody wants, right? Like, they don't want to be part of this long interviewing process. They'll feel like they've developed enough respect to just be appointed, and they've been put through this process, and some of them will be probably like, do you know what? I'm better than this. I don't need to be going through all these interviews, and I don't need to be going up and down and doing PowerPoints for you. I've already said that I'm interested. You don't want me, then cool. You want to go through this? You want to go through it? Go for it.
Facts. I think they could have been a bit more tactful if that was their main guy. But, man, and do you know what I'm even thinking? What's come to the forefront of my mind? I wonder how Christopher Vival's looking at this situation now. Because clearly that's his man. And we've been saying for the longest, I feel like a lot of these guys in the recruitment have been undermined by these owners. And if these guys, I know it's not just him, but if the recruitment team have agreed on one manager, and apparently it was Nagelsmann, then how's that going to look going forward? That's quite concerning in my opinion. Maybe I'm overhyping it a little bit, but I've had my suspicions for the longest, Matisse, and I'm not very comfortable with this, if I'm honest.
This is a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie.
It's crazy. I'm even changing the title of the video.
This is a bit mad. I'm a bit shocked.
Nagelsmann out of the Chelsea race. Wow.
I'm speechless.
Is now favorite. Wow, this is crazy. Yeah, I've changed the title of the video now. Breaking news, Nagelsmann is out of the Chelsea race, and Pochettino naturally looks like he's the favorite.
This club is insane, bro. That's all I have to say.
This is absolutely insane. This is crazy. Orixdale, thank you for the super chat. Who was the last Premier League title manager with Premier League experience? Good point. Very good point. I mean, when we look back, Pep, Conte, Jurgen Klopp, I can't think of anything else past that, but fam, I'm still just, I'm flabbergasted. I am flabbergasted. Todd Miller says Nagelsmann is a German version of Graham Potter, if you ask me. Wow. People, let us know your thoughts in the chat about this news, because I am stunned. I am absolutely stunned.
This club is so funny, bro. This club is actually hilarious, bro. Let's be real. How funny is this club, bro? Are you not entertained?
And you said before the live, Matisse actually said before I hit the live button, I've got a feeling that I want to wait because there's going to be some kind of announcement. Where did you even get that from? That smells like you had some inside trading there, cuz. Yeah, cause the timing was just perfect.
No, do you know what it is with me, yeah? Sometimes I just do get a feeling. Sometimes I do just get a little inkling that I should not upload. And I don't know what it is. It's just like a second sense.
Mr.
YouTube
Wolf
sense.
of Kings Road over here.
Because
Flipping hell.
I was just, do you know what it is? And I haven't even made the Arsenal watch along as well, like, because for Southampton, because I just have a feeling in my soul that some bullshit is going to happen today. And I was just like, let me just wait. Because, as a YouTuber, you need to kind of just sometimes, you need to decide whether or not you're going to upload. Because the last thing you want to do as a YouTuber is prepare a video, put it out, and then 5 minutes later, something breaks. Because now your video is worthless and you need to record again. So I was like, today, I'm just going to just sit for a second and just hold on, because there's a lot of shit going on and I just don't know really what I want to post. And now I do.
DHL says Nagelsmann must be waiting on Real Madrid. I don't think the Real Madrid will be available for him, to be honest. I think, if anything, it's the PSG job now. Because obviously, they need a new manager. He's not going to be going to Spurs. I'm trying to think of another Premier League club that could do with Julian Nagelsmann. Mate, this is insane. So, Matisse, it looks like you're getting your wish, bro.
This club is so... Do you know what? I don't even know if I want my wish to happen, because then I'll be under a lot of pressure from the fan base to be like, every time Poch does something wrong, he said
it was his fault. It was
him. Yeah. He's the one.
You asked for this.
Do you want me to be completely honest? I sly also went with him because I was like, he's never going to get appointed, so I can't lose. If he doesn't get appointed, then we just move. You know what I mean? He goes to Real Madrid, he probably wins the La Liga, and I tell everybody he was a really good manager, and we move on. If he actually comes here, it's going to be mad.
Joey says this is an embarrassing representation of this club. It is madness. I mean, look, Joey's slightly right here, because one issue that we had, a massive red flag we had in the summer, was how public everything was and how Todd Bowley was just at the forefront of everything and not just handling things privately. Now, I agree with that, man. I think there needs to be a bit more media silence when it comes to Chelsea. But, like, do you agree? Do you not think much has changed since the summer in terms of how public our business is?
It's very public. It's very public. As funny as it is, it's not funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm talking about, us needing to calm down. And this is another example. We're too bait, bro. Every single thing is just so bait. It's always out in the open. It's always clear and obvious to the public. And, it's just, for me, I would just like us to move a little bit more discreet, a little bit more tactile, a little bit more calm. And this is part of it as well. This is part of it. So, funny as it is, it's not funny. But it is, I mean, at this point, with the way our season is going, I just learned to laugh. Because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Really. So you have to laugh, bro. You have to laugh. It's hilarious. It's hilarious, bro. And one thing I can promise Chelsea fans, you're going to be very entertained.
A lot of people are not happy. A lot of people.
I'm not even looking at the chat. I know the chat are fuming. I just know.
The chosen one says we're an absolute joke. This board needs to be using a VPN or something. And that one was funny still. People calling for Poch should be put on a list so we can hold them accountable when the ship sinks. Big up Guni and Matisse. Felix is like Ozil in the way that they are both lazy players, but Ozil has the numbers to cover it up. Felix doesn't get him out. I don't want him for 86 million, mate. Yeah, I'd rather take my chances on Christopher and Nkunku. To be honest with you, I haven't heard your thoughts on Joao Felix, actually. Is he a keep? Do you want to keep him, or do you don't mind if he was to leave?
For me, I've always maintained that I feel like it's a bit too early for me to decide, because I don't know who the manager is. I don't know how his season's going to come to an end in terms of what is he going to do in the last the last month of the season. He could come out and drop a couple of masterclasses, and I think everybody would then be really, really pro Joao Felix. But to be honest, right now, based on what he's done, I still like the player a lot. I still think he's a talent. But I would probably go with a loan max, purely because I feel like he's not a priority either. If I'm looking at my priorities of what I think this team need, they need a striker, they need a DM, and they need a new goalkeeper. Yeah. The spine of the team
needs to be addressed.
It needs to be addressed. And he's one of those players. He's not a spine player. He's a player that comes in and he's like maybe potentially icing on top of the cake for a team.
Yes, exactly. After the 10 around him are sorted and solidified, exactly. You throw him in the middle.
Exactly. I like him. I think he's got something to him. I do.
Eunice.
I think that the biggest thing that I question with him is that his off the ball, what he does off the ball. I think on the ball, he can be frustrating. Some people have seen, okay, you're not making that pass, you're not making that shot. And we've heard it all before. But I do think under the right coach, there's a player there. But it depends on the price. But I would probably go over loan max because I don't think it's a priority. And I do question off the ball if he's a bit of a liability as well. Because he's done a few things off the ball now, and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, it's upset me. Yeah, I feel you.
I don't like that. Do you know what I mean? We can't carry anyone. I saw Sancho do it the other day as well in the Europa League. He just pulled out of a challenge. I was like, we can't be doing that. Modern football, we don't do that around here. This is why I love players like Bernardo Silva. On and off the ball, they're on it. They're on it, on and off the ball. These are the type of players you need. You need quality on the ball, but off the ball, you can't be a passenger unless you are Eden Hazard levels, and he's not. So, yeah, I like the player though. I like the player.
My bro, do you know what? There's still shouts for Jose Mourinho in the chat.
Yes, there is.
Now, Matisse, now that Julian Nagelsmann is not a candidate, the chances of Mourinho coming to this club become more. Not by massively, but it's more and more because we know that's a manager who would 1,000% not turn down Chelsea. But, he's doing all right with this Roma team. He's provisionally in third place, I think, or he's dropped down to fourth now that Juve got their 15 points and are back in the top four. But what do you think of Jose Mourinho coming back as a manager at Chelsea Football Club right now?
For me, it's not what I had in mind at all. It really isn't. I don't watch Roma often enough as well to completely vouch, but some people have said some of the football is dire. It can be very, very dire. I don't think that's what suits what we've put together in the transfer window. Working with the young players as well, it's questionable. We've seen that from Mourinho before. It can be very questionable. It's not ideal. In terms of player development, it's not ideal. Let's be real. It's not ideal. For what we've put together in this squad and for what he is as a manager, it's very short-termism in my opinion. So there's a lot of obviously what he's doing at Roma is brilliant, right? It could be potentially back-to-back European titles. He's not a scrub. I got a lot of respect for him. I love the manager, really. I do love Mourinho, but there's a danger of it becoming a little bit of remembering the past and kind of over fantasizing what he is now to what he was. Not saying he's finished. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an arc where he did dip and then come back on the rise. But
we've got some more supportive breaking news here from Mr. Matt Law. Big development as reported by Fabrizio Romano. I've had confirmation that Julian Nagelsmann no longer considers himself to be in contention for the Chelsea job and will not be part of the process moving forward. Very good news for those who want Pochettino. This smells to me that Nagelsmann said thank you, but no thank you.
It does. Yeah, I think he didn't want to be involved in an interview process. I don't think he wanted to be undermined. And for people that thought he was going to be a yes man, I kind of squashed that in my video yesterday. I think there's no reason to think he would have been a yes man just because he would have been in line with the same principles and ideas of the director. And because Pep is not a yes man, right? And Klopp, well, do you know what Klopp actually might be?
We're going to talk about this whole yes man thing. We will talk about that because for me, that's another lazy argument.
I got to go in 5 though. I got to go in 5. But I think with this situation, we have pissed him off because think about it, right? You're qualified in the field you're in. Imagine if you had to go through and I'm not saying a normal interview process, cool. People need to get to know you, but imagine you had to go through 10 stages for a job. It's just sometimes people are just like, you know what? Nah.
Yeah.
I've already said what I've had to say in the first 3 or 4. I don't need to keep jumping through hoops. And it does feel like it feels like the process of when we almost were trying to sell the club. That's how long the process seems. It seems like similar to that. When we were going through interviewing all of these different candidates and it was one after the next. And it does feel like that a little bit for some people. And maybe maybe they've just had enough, bro. They're just like, you know what? This is not for me. This is not for me. I'm better than this.
Felix says, why people acting like Poch won't turn us down too? He already did once. These owners made everything public and we lost our top choices because of that. I don't think Poch would turn us down this time round, though.
I don't think so, but I wouldn't rule anything out anymore after what I've just seen here. I wouldn't rule anything out. I can't lie. Anything can happen now. I wouldn't be surprised.
And yeah, just real quick before we go, I know you got like 5 minutes left, but I just want to talk about this whole yes man approach, because when you have a recruitment team in place at a club, regardless of who you are, whether you're Pep, Jurgen Klopp, even Alex Ferguson now, if he was to come in this day and age and manage, you have to liaise with this recruitment team, which also means that you cannot have all the choices of players that you want. There are going to be players that are going to be, quote unquote, forced on you that you did not ask for. So this yes man thing, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that situation, bro.
I think Chelsea fans are used to having discourse, used to having disagreement within the board, used to having fallouts, used to having bad exits with managers or whatever. I think it's kind of instilled into us because that's what we know. So when a manager actually tries to be collaborative or tries to actually work with the existing structure to try and move in the one direction, we consider them to be a yes man. I think yes man also comes from not agreeing with the decisions, right? Mm-hmm. No one was. Does anybody call Ancelotti a yes man for accepting Fernando Torres when he had Drogba? Because it was a Roman signing. Don't forget that.
Exactly.
Fernando Torres was a Roman signing. Did anybody call Ancelotti a yes man for taking that player in and not going up against the owner and saying, no, I don't want him? No one calls him a yes man because everybody wanted Fernando Torres, or a lot of people did, right? So I think it all depends on whether you like someone or you don't, whether you agree with decisions or you don't, whether you are happy or you're not. And then the yes man argument starts to come in. It's not really built on any serious substance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you are going to have longevity, then the person is going to have to be collaborative in some capacity, because you're not going to get anywhere past 2 years max with disagreements and arguing and basically what you saw with Conte at Tottenham. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to go anywhere with that, anywhere fast, anywhere soon. So yeah, I think it's just people just throwing that tag out to people that they're not particularly a fan of, to be honest. I don't think it's
absolutely people don't know. Well, a lot of people don't know. A lot do know that Jurgen Klopp's first choice was Julian Brandt, and he ended up with Mo Salah. Do you know what I mean?
Does that make him a yes man?
Exactly.
Because Salah and Mane ended up being the right decision, isn't it? So does that make Klopp a yes man? This is what I'm saying. It's not based on anything serious. It's just based upon dislike for individuals, and you just throw the yes man tag at them just to further kind of, I guess, devalue what they've done in the game. So that's just how I see it. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it holds much weight, to be honest.
Matisse, thank you very much for joining us on the channel. People, smash that subscribe button if you are new. Give the video a thumbs up as well. And obviously leave your thoughts down there in the comments after the video is done. But Matisse, let the peoples know what you've got coming up on your channel, or what you've already got up.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting day. I was going to do the Arsenal-Southampton watch-along. I still might. But my priority is now I've got to react to this news, and we've got to talk about the other options. And yeah, that video will be dropping as soon as I record it. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So yeah, that's where you can find me on the channel MAH.
You heard it from the horse's mouth, so make sure you check that out. Harry Gilliam says it's going to be Kompany. Listen, take that Vincent Kompany news and just throw it in the bin, bruv. I don't think that's going to happen. Julius says, get me on the stream, Guni. Well, we're at the end of the stream, unfortunately. We won't be able to do that. And yeah, I've actually got to end the stream now. I've got a phone call coming in that I've got to take. But people, big up yourselves. You get me? Like I said, all of that good stuff. Subscribe. Yeah, and let me know your thoughts. Listen, Gareth Southgate out. Me and Matisse are out. Later.